And,
I have
yep.
to recuse myself.
And then I have two members that are going to recuse themselves. And if everybody hasn't done so, if you guys could all sign in the audience for us, please, just so we have you duly noted. Thank you. Thank you. I've read it a bunch of times, so.
All set, Mr. Chairman? Okay. Good evening. My name is Dan Merrican with Legacy Engineering here on behalf of the applicant. We're here to present to you a definitive subdivision application for an open space subdivision for the Woodlands subdivision. This is an open space subdivision that was a special permit that was issued several years ago. I know there will be questions about this. The original approval was valid for 2 years, and there was a COVID tolling period that extended all permits for a year and a quarter. Then the permit was extended for 1 year, and then just recently, in the fall of 2024, the governor added 2 years to all permits. So the open space permit was still valid when we filed this subdivision application. The property in question, I think everybody knows, but I'll go through it. It extends from Main Street to Environmental Drive. J. Williams Heights and Crestview Drive are to the right of the property. Cottage Ave, Dale Ave, Winter Street, Railroad Ave are to the left of the property. The total property is about 53 acres and change. It's all undeveloped except for one existing house on Cottage Ave that is part of the subdivision and will be demolished. So consistent with the original open space approval, we are proposing 44 open space lots. The distinction between a regular lot and an open space lot is that an open space lot is smaller than is otherwise required by the subdivision, by the zoning bylaw, so that open space can be preserved. That's why it's called an open space subdivision. So the main entrance would be off of Main Street along Phillip Road. It's about 1,800 feet of road or so. The secondary entrance would be off of North Street. Dominic Drive extends up and loops around, and then there's a cross-cutting road, Laura's Lane, in between. You might recall that when we went through the open space special permit and then also a preliminary subdivision discussion, there was a lot of talk about which way to make a secondary connection. The principal connection is out to Main Street. 3 options were considered: Railroad Ave, Dale Street, and North Street. We did a traffic study back then. Beta's, your peer review consultant's conclusion was that North Street was the most appropriate connection point. We agree with that. It's in the best condition. It's the shortest road out to Main Street, to the nearest road, and we believe that that's the proper secondary connection point. That's why we've laid it out like this. Let me just talk a little bit about lot sizes. So we have 3 different zoning districts here. We have RV, RS, and RT. Each of them have a different minimum lot size requirement. RV, I think, is 15,000. RT is 60, and RS is 25. So we went through this in the open space application. I know Beta raised a question about this, but we did a weighted average. The average lot area of the open space lots has to be at least 50% of the underlying requirement. We went through and did a weighted average calculation of that when we did the open space special permit, and we came up with 22,500 and something was the minimum average lot area, and these are larger than that. So we'll respond to Beta's comment and question about that like that and see what happens with that. I don't really see much of an issue there.
And just so the folks at home know, the peer review was done by Beta, which they received today.
Today,
So
yeah.
they haven't had a chance to look at any of the information other than scanning it.
The minimum required open space is 35%. Some areas don't count for open space, but they're still proposed as open space. So we have, within parcel A, excluding the stormwater basins, we have 39.1% open space, so exceeding the 35. In the aggregate, when you look at all of the light green areas, all of that will be open space. All this whole area, a 50-foot strip around the J. Williams Heights lots, and then this area along the railroad back and backing out to Railroad Ave When you aggregate all of that green space, it's 47.3 of the total site is basically going to be open space when the project is complete. There is this, you may recall that the open space, there was discussion about providing a soccer field. So it's on the plans. It's not something we're going to talk a lot about because the zoning bylaw requires a separate site plan approval if we're going to build that. It's going to be up to the select board if they want it. So we will be having conversations with the select board in the coming months about whether they want us to build that, because if we build it, we're going to give it to the town, and it's going to become a town field. But it's shown here, just for illustration, the location, the parking area, what the stormwater basins would look like, but all of the nitty-gritty detail would be something we would discuss under a different public hearing process for that. The mic's right here.
Don't walk away from me.
All right, I'm married to the mic. Utilities. So we have an 8-inch water main proposed throughout all the roads. They will connect, obviously, at Main Street. And then, to my knowledge, there's no water main in North Street. There's a water main on Cottage Ave down the road, maybe 70, 80 feet. So we would propose to loop the water main throughout all the roads and then tie down to the end of that main to create a loop. There's a hydrant right down there, and as far as I know, that's where the main ends. Sewer, we're proposing a gravity sewer connection that would run down Phillip Road and tie into the gravity sewer in Main Street. This site has a lot of topography. There's a 70-foot vertical grade differential from highest to lowest. There are some areas of the site where we can't provide gravity sewer, so those areas are proposed to be low-pressure sewer, which we've done in Emerson Place and a couple other subdivisions. That's all going to be reviewed by the select board as the sewer and water commissioners. They'll engage a peer review consultant to review the sewer and the water system design. We are also we committed to reconstructing the Dover Road sewer pump station, which is at capacity. So part of this project, we prepared a plan that we're going to be submitting to the select board for review. Part of this project will be reconstructing this sewer pump station down here to handle the additional flow from not only this project, but we need to have a mic we can walk around with.
Clip ones.
Test.
Yeah, just I guess don't hold it from that particular.
All right. We'll figure it out. So that will be something that will be handled through the select board as part of the sewer and water. They've actually already approved the connection. They just need to undertake the technical review for the design of the sewer systems on the property and the reconstruction of the pump station. Stormwater is pretty straightforward. Basically, 90% of the site has no discharge of stormwater. There's a low point, got to be careful here. There's a low point up in here, because the railroad bed is here, no water leaves the site. There's a low point over here, which is the old gravel pit, no water leaves the site. There's a couple of big low points down in through here, no water leaves the site. So from all of this land area, no water leaves the site. The only area where water leaves the site is between Cottage Ave and Main Street. So what we're proposing to do is to construct a series of stormwater infiltration basins, great soils, sand and gravel soils, low groundwater. So we would have one here that would pick up this part of the road and these houses. We would have one in the middle here that would pick up part of this road. We would have an infiltration basin here on this piece of land between Cottage Ave and Main Street. And then we would have a bigger one down here towards the end of Railroad Ave. There's no discharge of any stormwater from any of those drainage systems. There is technically an outfall to this stormwater basin too, but it just goes into an existing depression on the site and the water just soaks into the ground. We have, to handle the very first part of the road coming in off of Main Street, we have an underground infiltration system proposed. Beta has recommended that we connect an overflow to the town's drainage system on Main Street, which I think makes sense, which we can add to the plan. So in the aggregate, there's a net decrease in total rate and volume of runoff off the property in all directions in each design storm. Something that I would like some feedback from the board on, light poles. So we have them proposed at all the intersections. There's one here already on a utility pole. So we have light poles at the intersections and at the end of the cul-de-sac, and that's it. I'd like to get some feedback from the board whether you want more. Typically, we just do that. The only other place you might think about it is in this little stretch, but we have existing homes in that area. I don't really think you need it. But if you want more, just let me know and we'll add them to the plan.
So Dan, just if you could walk through that again, so you'd have one at the end of each, they're both.
At the intersection?
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, and so on to north, you'd have one,
yes,
on to Main, you'd have one,
yes.
and then at both ends of the little connector road.
Yeah, at our 3 inside intersections, and then one at the end of the cul-de-sac,
I think that makes sense.
which is typically what we've done on
Yeah,
these
that sounds
projects.
fine.
We did provide a traffic study. We provided a full-blown traffic study 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's been peer-reviewed. We're not going to talk about that tonight. We're going to, at a subsequent meeting, we'll bring our traffic engineers in. They'll make a presentation to you about the study. You'll have your peer review consultant, and we'll be able to talk about traffic at that point. But basically, every intersection has stop signs, stop lines, crosswalks, curb cuts, accessible curb cuts. There's a continuous sidewalk system through the property. The roads are, per your requirements, 24 feet of pavement, sloped granite edging. We have, as you've normally done, one sidewalk proposed with a waiver request, which typically comes along with a condition that the applicant donate funds equal to the cost of the second sidewalk that wasn't installed for the town to use elsewhere. There is also a waiver request for no police and fire alarm boxes, because they don't do that anymore. So that typically is also a condition that the applicant donate a certain amount of funds to the town's fire alarm fund. I actually was just emailing with the fire chief today about what that amount would be. So we'll get that squared away.
You're also gonna do road improvements too, I remember in the report. There's gonna be increase the sight line on one of the,
Well, Beta had some questions about sightlines and whether improvements were needed. So that's something that they're gonna kind of go back and forth on, and then when we come at the next meeting, presumably, we'll have that whole conversation about what that would look like and what would be entailed in that. The one other thing that I would like to ask the board about, and I don't think it's in your regulations, but Beta recommended fences around stormwater basins.
Yeah, I saw that.
We have never done that. I hate
they're
chain
not.
link fences
they're
around
not- and
stormwater
How
basins.
deep are they, is the question. I think the only one I remember was the McDonough one over off of Village, but that was a deep basin. How deep
They're
are the,
3 or 4 feet deep.
yeah, I mean, you know, I think we could talk about it, but I don't necessarily, I think it actually makes them less, it makes them ugly.
I agree.
And there's no, I mean, they only have water in them after it rains and then they disappear, so.
Right. And then this one, I'll just explain this to you. This one here is not technically a stormwater basin. There is a big localized depression right here. It's 30 feet deep, something like that. So when we bring the road through, we need to reconfigure that. So we're basically just reshaping an existing localized depression. Obviously, runoff will go into the bottom of it and soak into the ground just like it does today. But it's not technically a stormwater basin. It's not receiving runoff from any of the roads. It's just a depression. So I think that's about it. The purpose of tonight was to reintroduce the project to everyone. We have some work to do to address peer review comments, so we're going to be looking for a continuation when we're all done this evening here for probably 2 months, so that we can respond to the peer review comments and provide revised plans and calculations and things of that nature. But if there's any question the board has for me, I'm happy to answer them.
No, I think it's,
No questions, but comment, let's remember back when this first came, everything that Dan stated earlier is actual, factual. about the extension of the permits. That's all.
Yeah, we had to check that.
There's no questions about that.
Right.
Earlier on, when we first paved and we extended the water mains and sewer mains, both of these stubs were brought off, so they're already off onto the developer's property. The water main and the sewer main connections off of Main Street. So that doesn't mean Main Street's gonna have to be dug up again, because they're already there. And like you said about the soccer field, let the selectmen worry about that. That's not on our purview to even comment about it. I mean, I'll make my comments at the select board of the need of who's gonna take care of it, but that's a whole other issue. I'm glad to see this project back finally here. I know it was a long time, you know, that the developer went back and forth, and it's a viable, it's a good project, is what I'm trying to say. Unfortunately, projects like these have to go somewhere. The property owner has the right to build what he wants to build here, and now it's our job to make sure that we represent you and it being built properly. There's nothing that is gonna stop him from doing this. So I hope we all can work together over the next couple of months in making comments, you know, through the chair, that will go back to the developer and the engineer, that we can make sure that this development is successfully built and properly done right.
Okay, great. And I do want to reiterate Jim's comments. It's going to be like a town meeting, like Brutus said. You know, everyone can go up and speak. If I find the comments are redundant, I'm going to ask you to move on, because, you know, once we hear the same comment over and over again, we got it the first couple of times. And, no, you can have comments. I'm not done talking. So when I'm done, you can, I'm going to open it up to the audience for questions. And like I said, if you guys could, you know, if you could try to keep it, you know, it's the same thing over and over again, it gets a bit redundant, so.
And they need to go.
And you need to go up to the
To the mic.
podium
Before
and
you
just
do
let
this.
us know who you are, and Nicole had something to say.
We never opened the public hearing.
Okay.
I think you can read it.
Can we read it now?
Yeah, we have to read
Okay.
let's open the public hearing, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, this is just a technicality for the meeting actually had to be opened by the reading. Town of Millis Office of the Planning Board notice of public hearing. Excuse me. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 41, Section 81T and 81U, Mass General Law, Planning Board will open a public hearing on Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 at 7:30 PM in the Veterans Memorial Building, Room 229, 900 Main Street, Millis, on the application for approval of definitive plan submitted by Woodlands LLC, John Tresca, 66 Main Street, Millis, Mass. 02054, for construction of a proposed 44-lot, single-family residential open space subdivision north of Main Street, along either side of Cottage Ave, Assessors Map 25, parcels 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 42, 44, and 134. Map 52, parcels 16 and 33, Millis, Mass. A copy of the application and plan is on file in the office of the town clerk and on the planning board's webpage. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the application should appear at the time and place designated. Richard Nichols, Chair. May I just make
Go
a
ahead,
comment?
yeah, please.
Not to reiterate, as our chair has just said, he doesn't want reiterations, and not to sound like a history teacher. I know there have been comments and concerns about the surrounding neighborhoods, and this board totally respects that. And we do want to hear all of those comments. I do want everyone to remember, however, that we are a nation based on the right to property rights. And this board, just for clarification, we don't decide what goes where. We don't have the ability to say, we don't like this, you're not building it here. This is available to be done under state law and under our bylaws. Our job is to ensure that this project is done in accordance with all of those laws. We cannot stop it. I'm not saying that I think we should or we shouldn't. I'm just wanted to clarify, because there were questions when this project first came forward before COVID, that there were people that had come to the board thinking we were going to be able to say, no, you can't put this here. So just as a point of clarification, that's not what the planning board does. We do want to hear everyone's comments, and we do want to make sure that all of the concerns and issues that the residents have are addressed appropriately. So sorry for my little TED Talk.
Nope, all good stuff. All right, and yeah, so if you guys can come up and just let us know who you are. You have to speak at the mic, and then name and address, and then all the comments go through the chair. So if you have a question, you ask the chair, and then you'll get answers.
Mitch Babinski, 26 Cottage Ave. I live right there. My big concern is this conglomeration of roads funneling into my street. The problem here is people aren't going to use North Street. It's a very dangerous intersection with Union coming in here and 109 there. If I come out of this way to take the left, it's horrendous. So everybody's gonna come up Cottage Ave that goes through here. We have 44 units as opposed to 34 in the original proposal. So that's 10, 20 more cars. You should take a look at the big hill that these cars have to come up. These cars are gonna come flying up this hill and probably continue and probably be a bit reckless coming through these areas. These roads are very narrow. Everybody in the street drives their cars in, everybody backs out. Right at the end of Cottage Ave, where Winter is, there's two homes, an apartment house and another home where everybody's just driven off the street. That's gonna be a very dangerous situation there. But one other thing too is, I have to come out this way, I go down this way a couple times a week, and I'll come out North Street. If you go there at about 4:30, the sun is sitting right on top of the road. That's a very dangerous intersection to go left or right. So, many people aren't gonna use this North Street. So it's gonna be all Cottage Ave. So I'm very concerned about that. And like I said, the dangerousness of backing out. I could back out 50 times in 50 days without looking and never have an incident. It's a very quiet neighborhood. If we have an Amazon truck parked there, you have to drive like 5 miles an hour around them. If we're gonna have 30 cars an hour, 40 cars an hour coming through there, it's gonna ruin our neighborhood. We got people that have been living here for 30, 40, 50 years. And we've lived there because it's a tranquil street, it's a good neighborhood, middle-class people. We don't have $500,000, $600,000 homes. All these people, that's what we have, is our homes. And this is gonna destroy our street and our neighborhood. I've said this when I was here 6, 7 years ago. I suggested another way, possibly Railroad Ave. You're disturbing just a few homes. If you go through this way, there's like 12 to 15 homes that you're gonna disturb. And everybody's life is gonna be changed on that street. Over here, you have 3 homes and business and a cat shelter. It's a straight shot right through there, and you could eliminate all this over here. So I'm concerned about this big hill here, and just the fact that you went to 44 from 34. I had a lot of requests when we came here last time. It's obviously fallen on deaf ears because you don't seem to care, and you want to jam as many houses in there as you can, and you don't care about our neighborhood. I just wanted you to know our concerns, and I appreciate you take that into consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Just so everyone knows, it's always been 44. That's what was approved in the special permit.
Okay.
Hi, I just have some general questions. I live on J. William Heights. This is my house.
Can you just give
let
us
us
your
know who
name
you
and
are.
address for the
Hi,
record?
I'm Julie Philpott. I live at 5J William Heights.
Thank you.
So I know you were saying that this is all green space, and I understand it's 50 feet. Is there gonna be like trees there, or is it just gonna be wide open?
That green strip is undisturbed.
Okay, so it will still have a bunch of trees between us and the house being built?
Yes.
And then, do you know, so like I know J. William is up kind of on a hill. Is the development gonna be like kind of sloped down behind us, or is it gonna be at level with our roof?
It'll be lower than J. William Heights.
Okay, and then do we know yet, like, the estimated breaking ground, the estimated completion of, or like what you're hoping is your timeline as of right now?
It's hard to say.
Could you give us like a guesstimate?
Permitting for something like this is gonna take 6 or 7 months. You know, so I guess there's a remote possibility that construction could start this fall, but it seems more likely to me that it would start next spring sometime. It'll be phased. They will not likely go in and build all 3 roads at one time. We do have phasing shown on the plan, so they'll probably go in, as is typical for a subdivision of this size, and build a road, and then start building houses on that road, and then build the next road, and then start building houses on that road. So the whole process of building out 44 houses will take several years.
And also that depends on the market, because, you know,
Correct.
there's a development going on right now, and it was going great guns, and it's kind of slowed down a little bit because things aren't selling. So that will also drive the bus on that.
Okay, and then, in regards to like construction noise and stuff, I'm not sure if this is even the right time to ask this. Will you take into consideration like the neighborhoods, like what they would prefer for hours for construction, or is it kind of like this is when we're doing the
We
construction,
have,
deal
yeah,
with it?
the town has hours, every town has hours, and they're, you know, 7 to 6:30, I believe. Yep, 7 to 6:30, and then Monday through Saturday, and then, no work on Sundays.
Okay, and are those negotiable at all? Is like maybe
No.
starting a little bit later, or is it like this
No,
is
we
how
don't,
we
they
do
don't,
it?
I work in construction.
Okay.
We don't negotiate the hours, because if you want, we have to be able to go to work. So that's what it said. If you want to change the bylaw, and not being mean.
Yeah, no, I
That would be
understand.
the only way that it would be able to happen, is that we would, you know, we don't adjust the bylaws, you know, for specific locations.
And then obviously, like, all the research was done on, like, if our infrastructure can handle these houses, and, like, all the kids going to the school systems, and, like, all the schools I feel like are already kind of full, so the growing class sizes, the police, the fire, all that stuff was researched and taken into account.
The school was picked up in that, because we're actually redoing the school, so
Mm-hmm.
that was picked up in the accounting, and then,
So the police and fire, Mr. Chair, they have already used these numbers in their budget presentation this year
Okay,
in front of the select board, so they've already presented, you know, the need and the calls that eventually, that this development in the next several years will be built, so yes, they have.
okay, cool, thank you for your time.
thank you. No, actually, the town's actually getting better at being, forecasting stuff,
Yes.
so.
Sharon Egler, 3 Dale Avenue. So I just want to also just mention about the Cottage Avenue traffic, specifically because we come down past the end of Cottage Avenue, down Winter Street, and I don't believe that there is currently a stop sign where Cottage Ave meets Winter Street. So currently, since the traffic is relatively light, we just kind of all look out for other people, but there are people coming off Cottage Ave that sometimes just fly through and turn left down Winter without stopping, as people are kind of coming down the hill without stopping. So I know this isn't a traffic-specific conversation, but just want to make sure to raise that concern.
No, and that's perfect. I mean, those are the type of things that we would want to know, because they can do, you know, we can ask to have things like that done. And you live there, so that helps us out, so.
Okay, thank you.
And what was that intersection?
That is Cottage and Winter Street.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
We could add stop signs, stop lines,
Yeah.
Everywhere you want them.
everywhere you want them.
James Manning, 12 J. William Heights. I had 2 quick questions. The layout the last time was slightly different. I live on J. William Heights right at here. It was previously stopping closer up here. Is the different layout due to the traffic plan?
I'll show you the other plan.
Do you want to put that up, Dan, if you could? And the guy with the mic's gonna come over and yell at you.
I know, I need to steal your microphone.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm this house, so it's now, before I had no house. I might have seen one, now it's pushed
It's
3
a-
lots into.
It's a little bit longer. That related to, let me go sit down and just talk about that. It related to how we laid out the lots in the interior and how it all came together. Let me go sit down. So one of the things the reason why we're here five years later is because there are a series of easements in this property. And there was ownership questions about who owned the fee and the land within the easements. So the applicant went to court, to land court, to confirm who owned the land in the easements, and the courts confirmed that the applicant owns the land in the easements. Basically, derelict fee statute applies. So there were some deeds that were confusing, so the courts concluded that derelict fee statute applies. If you live on one side of the easement, you own the land to the center line of the easement. If you own land on both sides of the easement, you own the land under the entire easement. So we have to leave those easements in place unless we want to relocate them. So you'll see on the layout sheets that we're leaving those 40-foot wide easements in place throughout much of the subdivision, but in the interior, we're reconfiguring the easements to follow the path of the new roads. So when we got into detailed drainage design and laying out, the new road systems relative to those old easements, the lot shapes and road location shifted around a little bit, and that's why that end of the road got a little bit longer. But that's still all, there's a green space there that wraps around the end of J. Williams Heights, and everything to the right of that is all gonna be open space. And those lots down that end are the lots that need to be bigger because they're in the zoning district with the 60,000 square foot lot area requirement.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I was more just, it seems like the roads have shifted, so I didn't know if that was the.
They did shift
the-
around a little
the
bit, and that
case, so-
was anticipated, that the road configuration in the lots would shift a little bit, and they have.
Okay. And then second question, I know we're not here to talk about the sports field, but there was a lot of conversation the last time, specifically for you, Jim, on the viability of Island Road. That's a dirt road. And I know there's discussion about the development not being able to go out there because there was a significant amount, but that sports field would bring a fair amount of traffic on a daily basis. And that road, if any of you have driven down it, is very tough. There is also a wildlife management area. If you can't tell, I deer hunt. But there are folks that hunt like right back there, so something
I've
for
seen
you
'em.
guys. Something for you guys to consider. There's
Well,
people.
that's the select, like Jim said, it's a select
Yeah,
board.
I know,
so it's-
but
yeah, yeah,
you
good.
guys are gonna
Yep.
be dealing with the select board. I might not necessarily be there, so just a comment on that. Or a take on the viability of even using that road, I guess.
Just
You
so,
can't.
just so everyone knows, there is a permitting process through the select board for the land disturbance and stormwater. So abutter notices will go out for that.
And I'll, whether I'm in, but the position I'm in, I will still be there as the planning board. I'll still be on the planning board, but I will be there to speak.
Because I'm correct me if I'm wrong, I think the last time you indicated that would be a pretty large expense for the taxpayers to upgrade that.
Excellent.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Haven't changed.
All right, any other comments? So, all right, with that being said, I gonna make a motion for a continuance for 2 months.
2 months.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, all in fa,
What's that date?
April 7th.
April 7th?
Yeah.
7th?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passed unanimously. All right, great. Well, thank you for the presentation, Dan, and thanks for everybody for coming, so.
Thank you for your time.
And we'll try to do something with the TV to set up, so if there's any more maps, you'll be able to see them better at the next meeting.
Yeah, maybe better have the podium over here.
No, we're gonna put them on the TV
Oh, okay, yeah.
above, like they
See,
should
we
be.
can't move the podium because the cameras have to be able to get it for anyone watching at home. So that makes, that's
Jim,
just one more.
I have a comment on Cottage Ave. We don't have a street sign,
We can take it. That's-
so if you want,
Yeah, we can put that
We used to
right.
have one
We'll get
in-
that before the stick is installed.
the other Cottage Ave has one, but.
Yep, okay.
All right, let's see, next item on the agenda is going to be Acorn Place Senior Residence Develop Community, closeout of the special permit. At our last meeting, there was a request to extend the permit, leave it open for another month, and we did so. We are going to close the permit at this point in time. So I'm gonna make a motion to close that. So the motion is that I move the planning board determine that the project authorized under Senior Residential Community Development Special Permit with site plan approval filed with the town clerk November 19th, 2018, to the Acorn Millis Residential LLC for the construction of a senior residential community, SRC, development called Acorn Place at property on Acorn Street has been completed in substantial compliance with the approved plans and conditions of approval. I further move that the planning board accept the as-built plan entitled Acorn Place As-Built of Land in Millis, Mass., 4 sheets, prepared by Legacy Engineering, dated November 18th, 2025, as satisfactory documentation of the completed work. I further move that this determination closes out the special permit and no further action by the planning board is required, with the board finding that any minor deviations shown on the as-built plan do not alter the intent of the special permit and do not require modification.
Second.
All right, with that being said, all in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. And thanks, Steve, again, who's out in the audience for, coming in and helping us out to close this out. Appreciate all your time and effort.
Can I take
Oh, yeah, please, go ahead, yeah, no, the folks at home miss you, and they're gonna see you for the last time unless you come to visit.
Oh, I might just come every month. My name is Steve Carden. I'm the president of the Acorn Place Board of Trustees. I just wanted to, on behalf of our board and our community, thank everyone on the planning board for working with us for 2 entire years to get to this, to get to where we've gotten to. I know it's been a lot of work, and we appreciate, and our community appreciates everything that you've done to help us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
It's only been 2 years.
It seems like
It only seemed like forever. All right, other business, discuss battery energy storage systems, BESS facilities, zoning bylaw amendment discussion. Nicole, if you could,
So there were 2 topics that came up at the last zoning bylaw review meeting. It had to do with 2 uses, battery energy storage system and data centers. And these are 2 uses that the state is now very anxious to get towns to approve.
and
for-
just interrupt, when you guys, if anyone drives down 109, coming from Milford, you drive down and there's that big giant blank wall that looks like a Walmart with no windows and doors, just before you get to the 45 in Medway.
Yes.
That's what a battery energy storage facility looks like with no screening on it. So it looks
Yes.
like a big giant lump of.
It's like one of the largest ones in Massachusetts.
Yes,
Second
so
or third largest one.
that's what we're looking to.
So there is currently the Department of Energy Resources, DOER, is proposing draft bylaws for communities to adopt for battery energy storage systems. And they're still in that process, but they're giving, actually both for the battery energy storage system and for data centers, which are similar just these huge facilities that store data, and they don't even need, they only have like maybe 1 or 2 employees in this vast area. The state is giving incentives to companies that will build these facilities because the state needs them. So right now, we do not have zoning for either of these entities. I had a discussion with town council. Do we wait on the battery energy storage system? Do we adopt what they're proposing? And his response was, what they're proposing is what is good for the state. It's not necessarily what's going to be good for us. He said that we can wait until those guidelines have been finalized and we can discuss it further. There's not really a rush right now, but what we do, the committee is proposing to the planning board is that we at least get definitions into our zoning book and we zone them to be in the IP and IP2 district by special permit. Because one of the provisions that the proposals for battery energy storage system is from the DOER is going to be that they be allowed by right.
So that means that they could put them in neighborhoods.
Exactly. They could put them anywhere. Or even if you're able to zone them, even if we were able to put them in, just limit them to the industrial area, it would be by right. It would not be a special permit, which would be, at best, would get a site plan review. And as of right now, there is no state mandate state requirement that we adopt these provisions. But we do feel that with the growth of just all of the different forms of energy and the need to be able to have backup, that the state is giving credits and all sorts of incentives, that we want to at least limit our exposure and get these zoned so that they can only be in the industrial areas. Now, the one point I did want to make on the definition for battery energy storage system, it's in your packet. You're going to see that this is what was provided to us by town council. Halfway through the first sentence, so it said a physical container or structure providing containment to one or more battery cells for storing electrical energy. She had written derived by solar or sourced directly from the electrical grid. Many of the bylaws in other towns that I've been looking at has, and you'll see what I've written in italics, derived from solar or other renewable energy sources, such as wind, or if some other source comes down the line that's going to be, becomes more popular. So I have added into this, this definition here, the phrase "or other renewable energy source" for the board to consider. It does not change what is really the definition. It just says, okay, if you're going to do this by wind, it would still fall under. We don't want somebody to come in and say, well, this says it's only for storing energy that's derived from solar or sourced directly from the energy grid.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
And just out of curiosity, is there any reason why it could be, why do we have to limit it to renewables? Why couldn't it be any energy? Because I can tell you right now, if they have something where they have they're storing it from a natural gas-fired plant because they know there's going to be a lack of energy, I think it's any, in my mind, any source of energy, not just limiting it to wind and solar.
I think and I agree with you, just from what I'm reading, these battery energy storage tend to be, they're collecting energy from, like right now, they're being used for that resource, for renewable energy, but you're right, there's no reason that we have to limit it to renewable sources. We could reword this and then just run it by town council, but I don't see why.
Yeah, because I think, the thing is like during the day, solar's going great guns.
Right.
And then at nighttime, they have to, get the power from somewhere else, and that's where the batteries come in. That's like people who have batteries on their homes.
We could remove the word renewable, and that's why I have
Yeah.
this in italics, is because I wanted to specifically discuss this phrase. I mean, we could have solar or other energy source. We could put solar, wind, wind or other energy source, just because wind is very common right now. It is one of the, of the different sources that we see around here. Or we could, we could change it derived from any energy source.
I would put it as any, just that way we, go ahead, Al.
Additionally, there's a lot of mays, may be, may include in this definition, which doesn't exclude having a battery system in your basement as being considered a battery energy storage system. Whereas I don't think the intent of this zoning would be to keep people from having battery storage in their homes.
So,
Go ahead.
in the bylaws that they're proposing, which we will address once those are finalized, and there are actually some proposals, they base it on tier levels, and that would be, and those tiers have to do with the size. Yes, thank you, because, I'm so technical. So that would get all addressed into the bylaw and what the bylaw applied to. It was recommended by town council that we not get into the tiering in the definition of what a battery storage system is.
Yeah, but the problem is you do this and some crank isn't happy that his next door neighbor put solar panels and a battery in his basement or his garage. You're kind of leaving this open to interpretation.
You can define, in the definitions, you can define tier 1, 2, and 3 as well.
We can, we
I
do
think
whatever we
have
want.
to.
We can add, I don't think I have the tier definitions. Because the different, how the bylaw, how the rules are all affected based upon the tier. We could add a,
Even to say in excess of 10 kilowatts or something like that.
You can permit, like under a special permit, under tier 1 in certain zoning districts, under tier 2, certain don't, over tier 2, certain zoning districts, and tier 3, certain zoning districts, so.
and I think when we get to the bylaw stage, right now, what we're looking to do is prevent what's in Medway of coming into a residential neighborhood here.
Right, we need to, we could put this on the
So
books
we-
easier than we can put the whole bylaw in.
I can go back to town council and ask for, I've got all the paperwork at home, I can come up with something and submit it to town council for review. Would we, we don't have to submit to, do we have to submit this to the select board? Okay,
Yes, any zoning bylaw change, you have to
Right.
make a recommendation to send it to the select board so they can refer it back to us for a public hearing
Okay.
to be held.
so if we're gonna mark this up for a public hearing in April, that would still give us time to get these answers reviewed by town council for tiering, or say that at least the battery energy storage system, this applies to any system above whatever number of
Certain like Mike
kilowatts.
said. Yes, and I agree, though, just keeping it more simple to get this, rather than we can deal with all the technicalities during the actual bylaw when we have to
Right.
put that into the zoning bylaws. This is just to prevent those huge boxes from appearing in town all of a sudden. So I think just keeping it as simple as possible, like with the 2 definitions and the 2 additions to the use table, covers it for now until we get into the nitty-gritty with the details of the bylaw and then everything that goes with it. But I think just keeping it simple, there's not a lot of time to go back and forth. So as it is for us to hold our public hearing in April, we have to get this to the select board, for them to review and refer it back to us for a public hearing. So between town council, select board, there's really not a lot of time, so if you want to fiddle with it a little, my recommendation would be just to keep it as basic as possible to get this on the books for the time being, and then deal with the technicalities and all the details and the tiering and all of that when the actual bylaw gets proposed.
Well, I think, to go to Alan's point, though, I think we think you'd have to put a baseline tiering in, you know, just to be able to, I think we need a baseline tiering in it.
Okay.
I don't think we have to go
Mike,
crazy on it, but.
What would be, because the tiering that is in towns that have already adopted these bylaws, I didn't print them all out, but I've got like 10 different bylaws. And they all have, some of them have the tiering system that is set up under the DOER's recommendations, and some of them have different tiering. What would you think would be this would apply to anything higher than how many kilowatts per hours?
Kilowatt
That would be acceptable as a standard storage unit or whatever you're putting in your house for your personal use.
Right, so if you give me some time, I can download all that stuff and get it for you, what tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 is, so we can make a better accurate decision.
Okay.
A Tesla Powerwall is 13.5 kilowatt hours. Some people put 2 or 3 of them up. So talking 41 to maybe say 50 kilowatt hours.
I'm looking
Okay.
it up as we're talking.
Well, I think on this, I think what we can do is, we can
change
we
that
can
later.
internally, because we can get that, and you can send the information to Camille, and we can try to get a number hashed out to what that correct number is for the tiering, I think.
Yeah, we should be able to do that this week.
Yeah,
Because the language is in other bylaws. I can add the language, and it's just figuring out the number.
right.
And I'm gonna see you tomorrow at the zoning bylaw review committee.
Yeah, so why don't we do that?
Okay. And then once we have a number, I'll send it to Camille to send out to everyone.
Correct.
Okay. The other definition is just, again, what a data center is. A building or series of buildings that houses and supports the high-performance servers, storage system, networking equipment, and related computing infrastructures and equipment necessary for storing, processing, and distributing data and applications. This is the definition of a qualified data center based on the state's CMRs. There aren't a lot of communities, I've only found 4 that have data center bylaws. And one of the larger programs, I want to get this, I think we need to get this zoned. This also, the data center in particular, needs to be addressed by the select board, because the biggest problem with data centers is their use of water. And 3 of the 4 communities that have data center bylaws also in the last 3 months have issued 1-year moratoriums on data centers, because the use of and because now they want to expand, and the use of the water and what comes out when they're flushing the water is becoming a much bigger issue than people realized when they were first developed. So I will, with the chair's recommend, with your approval, we will, when this goes to the select board, I will be raising that issue, saying this is an issue that I've got a couple of studies, but saying this is something the select board needs to address, because of course we don't control, we have nothing to do with how water would be used. But in the minimum, if we're zoning it, if we're limiting it to zoning by special permit in the industrial centers, now we're reducing the land opportunity.
Right.
So.
And then if we get a bylaw in place, we can do things like fan noise. I know that's another big issue with them.
Right.
And also use of temporary generators, because I've seen them in other areas where they plunk, portable generators outside to make up for the amount of power that they use, like you said, Alan, when they expand. That would be things we'd be able to at least put in regulations when we get that far.
I think the definition here is interesting because, I mean, the police department has servers over there, they're storing data. So what actually defines a data center? You know, someone having 2 or 3 servers and storing data, now it's a data center according to this definition.
It's a building.
Okay, it's a building series that houses it, it doesn't say it houses it exclusively. What if you have a convenience store and put 20 servers in the back because you can gain some revenue that way? Is that a data center?
No, these are good questions. No, yeah, so I think we'll need to, can we do it as
I mean, so we can wait until the bylaw, until we're able to deal with town council and develop, because the bylaws address more of that. We can't zone it without there being a definition of what it is.
Right.
So that was just.
Could we make a definition of what would reasonably be assumed as a data center? So something over, 20 servers. I mean, is that something where a reasonable person could say, hey, if you're over 20 servers, you could be considered as a data center. I don't know what the, I don't know, but I mean, my gut instinct is that in the town, there's probably not a business or, someone who has over 20 servers in their house. And like I said, this is a beginning point.
Right.
This isn't we could change the definition.
I wouldn't want to scare people away from opening a data center either, and we want to bring business into the town, and this is exactly the kind of business that might be attracted to us, because transportation distance to highways is a non-issue. You're not going to have a lot of employees, so getting your employees here without public transportation isn't an issue. So there may be actually opportunity for us, we just want to control it a bit.
Yeah, no, all good points, good points. So I think, I don't know, what do you guys think on that? Do you think we should should try to put a baseline in ahead of time as a placeholder, and then at least we have something, or do we want to wait until the bylaw comes out?
Well, the definition in 780 CMR is a battery storage center, often referred to as a battery energy storage system, BESS, is a facility that uses batteries to store electrical energy.
Well, we're onto data now, so data center.
This stored energy can be used to stabilize electric grid. So they have a whole definition here for both. So I'll give it to you tomorrow.
Okay,
I'll give it to you tomorrow.
Yeah, the battery energy storage system is different
then the data.
but it's different than what we had discussed. This definition here is what was proposed by town council. So it is different than what, I can send you what we had, but it was, some of the other towns have what's in that CMR.
I go
So-
by the CMR.
Okay, well,
I
why
can
don't we,
send
send
that
why don't
too.
we send that out, we'll take a look, everyone will take a look at it, and we'll.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I agree with Alan, is that, we don't want to scare anyone, we don't want to, but we also don't want to end up with, somebody looking out in their backyard on a 3-acre lot and having a data center out there, so.
There's plenty of land down the swamp.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you for that, so were we good on that for now, and we can,
So this will come back in April?
Yeah.
So are you going to just continue your discussion until April, and not make a recommendation to the select board at this time?
what do we need to make a recommendation, can we?
Well, we
make
have
a-
to submit something to the select board
Well,
and
can
have
we make
them
a
send it
recommend-
back.
Can we make a recommendation and because we don't have to submit it to them, in 2 weeks, can we do that?
Well,
Doesn't Camille
you-
have to make a placeholder if it's gonna go to town meeting? She's gotta
Right.
do
Right.
something now.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So what you have to decide is if you want to make a recommendation to send it to the select board so they can refer it back to the planning for a public hearing. And I could send them a draft, say, the final, wait
Yes.
upon final approval from town council, but can we go ahead and have our our public hearing, and we can let them know the definitive wording prior to that time, once we've worked it out.
That's up for the committee, the board to decide now.
Yes. So I'm all for that. I think we should put in for a placeholder for that, so.
That's what I'd like to see.
Okay, good. All
So
right.
you want to make a motion?
I make a motion to put a placeholder forwards, sorry, make a motion.
So I'm clear, you're making a motion to refer this to the select board,
Yes.
to be referred back to the planning board for a public hearing.
Just like that. Exactly exactly, you read my mind.
So moved.
All right,
Jim made the
motions been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, great,
Who
thank you.
seconded?
I did.
And we will work on the details and get that tuned up. So that's good. All
I mean,
right,
This is good. This came from our discussion at our last meeting, and Wayne was very knowledgeable on this, and he brought it forth to us, Wayne Carlson, so I want to thank him for that.
all right, let's see, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the meeting from January 13th as written.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and I think that would be it. Correspondence and bills, we don't have any bills?
Yep, all done.
Okay, good, all right, well, I think that would be it, so unless there's anything else, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night, everybody.